Why was Grogu the only Jedi youngling to escape the grasp of Darth Vader in Order 66? Greetings again, Acolytes, and welcome back to the Archives. Chapter 20 of The Mandalorian just released, and we are now halfway through the third season. At this time, we are finally getting to the answers which have been burning us for the entirety of the show. One of those answers being to how Grogu survived Operation Nightfall. In the recent episode, we were treated to an astounding vision of the past as Grogu found himself in the same place that Din Djarin did, right in front of the Beskar Forge and experiencing his greatest trauma all over again. We enter into Grogu's memories to find him basically alone in a hallway being protected by a squad of Jedi Knights. However, this time, we finally get the full memory as with the final breaths, the Jedi load Grogu into an elevator and send him to Master Kelleran Beck, who then secures the young Jedi youngling's escape. Interestingly, it appears that besides Reva, who played dead until it was all over, Grogu seems to be the only youngling to have escaped the temple that fateful night. And today, we wanted to figure out exactly why this is, and why Darth Sidious and Vader targeted the younglings directly, and viewed them as perhaps one of the greatest threats to the Empire. The biggest thing that stuck out to us upon viewing this memory is how Grogu is completely alone in the hallway. Yes, the other Jedi protecting him were there. However, Grogu is the only youngling in that corridor, and it appears that at this point in time, Grogu was far too young to operate his pod by himself, and was mostly being pushed and pulled around by his escorts. The fact that this child was kept separate from the other younglings could have some interesting implications to it. Why was he potentially kept a secret, or if not secret, then at least separate from the other Jedi younglings? And this is, of course, because of the importance of Grogu's species. Yoda's species is the single most mysterious and beguiling aspect of galactic lore, even within the universe, with only one or two appearing in the wider galaxy every couple hundred to thousands of years. But this point of time and the appearance of Grogu is especially important. At this point in time, we're in the era known as the Republic Classic era, and this cements this point in time as being the only one with this many of Yoda's species going public at once. Yoda in his wisdom has long since denied sharing any information about his species whatsoever, even to the Jedi Council. Yoda is very protective of his home planet and of his native people, so it would stand to reason that if there was an infant of his species, he would want it kept under close watch. This, of course, now brings up the rather strange line of questioning. If Yoda is so protective of his species, why did he allow a youngling of his people to be inducted into the Jedi? Was Grogu born within the temple in a top-secret experiment? Does this mean that Grogu is the offspring of Yoda and Yaddle? These questions are unfortunately going to have to go unanswered for now, but what we can speculate is that it was a High Council decision to have Grogu be brought up and trained completely separate from the other younglings. This is likely due to the implication of Yoda's own power and force potential. Every one of Yoda's species that have arisen in the Order never fail to reach certain accolades in the hierarchy of the highest ranks of the Jedi Council, with one of Yoda's species serving as Grandmaster 2 or 3 times in the Order's entire history. Their immense strength with the Force seems to be an innate rule rather than the exception, which means that those young and inexperienced would need to be carefully watched and tended after as young Jedi. So far, we have seen what Grogu is capable of, as many times in The Mandalorian, the child has used the Force for selfish or emotional reasons, and never in a small way. Maybe he has grabbed a few things to eat with telekinesis, but he has also used Force Heal as well as Force Choke, and he has telekinetically repelled a jet fire and lifted a charging mudhorn. It is clear to us why Grogu was kept under such watch by the Jedi during his days in the temple. And it worked out, as his preferential treatment secured him a priority level of escape, since Kelleran took only Grogu, no other youngling, and fled the scene, saving the child's life. But again, why did Vader and Sidious specifically target Jedi younglings? Operation Nightfall's success hinged on the broad idea of cleaning house within the temple and wiping out every Jedi within it. However, that was mostly the clone troopers' job. Vader's involvement seemed to have carried a specific, darker purpose: to target the young Jedi. While Vader did take care of the masters that were too powerful for the troopers alone, such as Sindralig and Shaak Ti, we have noticed that there was special care taken to ensure the deaths of the Jedi youth. Upon reviewing the scenes that we get of the Jedi Temple Purge, as well as what happened after, we can deduce that one of Vader's tasks, if not his primary task, was the slaughter of the children. We see this with the infamous High Council chamber room scene in Revenge of the Sith, as well as Reva's group of younglings in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and when Obi-Wan and Yoda visit the temple and it's all over, they find another group, a third group of dead Padawans, which Yoda mentions had been killed by a lightsaber. But Vader either did not know of Grogu, or did not get to him in time, and it appears that quite a few Jedi knew of him and they were willing to die for the young member of Yoda's species. But if Vader knew of Grogu, it would stand to reason that he would go and make the killing of the child of Yoda's species a major priority. However, we didn't see him there in the hallway with the other clones, and Vader was particular about the younglings, likely because it was a mission given to him by Darth Sidious. And the thing is, to Sidious, a Jedi was a Jedi, and the younglings were just as dangerous as the masters were, and this was because of their potential future involvement. The next generation of Jedi was the thing that Palpatine wanted to take care of the most, as once you pluck something by the seed, you won't ever have to worry about a weed. The next generation of Jedi was one of the things that Sidious saw as his biggest threat to his burgeoning empire, which was why he apparently didn't really care if a few aged Jedi masters went unaccounted for here or there. He didn't care if some masters lived. In fact, in one of the Legends comics, Sidious explains to Vader that it was good for some of the old Jedi to live, because he took pleasure in knowing that these older aged Jedi were being forced to live in a world where they had lost and gone into hiding, and witnessed the republic that they swore to protect crumble before them. However, things were different for the younglings, as any one of them could rise up in the future and blindside Sidious, which of course one did. Luke Skywalker would rise up and reject the old rigid ways of his masters in Obi-Wan and Yoda. Luke embodied everything Sidious feared most, a younger and far more powerful Jedi who rejected what made the original Jedi weak, one who took on a new perspective that would win him the day. But anyway, we digress. It's also possible that Skywalker was given the task of slaughtering the younglings as a way to cement himself within the dark side and birth Vader. As a final side piece of information, we found out something rather interesting that could possibly link Anakin and Grogu. Grogu was 50 years old by the time of the beginning of The Mandalorian, which takes place in the year 9 ABY. With some quick math, we can deduce that Grogu would have been born in the year 41 BBY. The same year Skywalker was born. This means that Anakin Skywalker and Grogu are the exact same age. Though we aren't entirely sure of the implications of this information as of now, it is certainly something to look back upon and keep in the back of your minds. But anyway, Acolytes, what are your thoughts on this? Why do you think that Grogu was kept in an area all on his own? And what did you think of the newest episode of The Mandalorian, The Foundling? As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching and continuing to support our channel. It means the world to me. If you've enjoyed the videos and are new here, reach out with the Force and crush that subscribe button. It is your destiny.